Okay, so I'm going to not put my body into the video, but I wanted to go ahead and make a video, at least with words, although I use some motions with it too. So I don't know. Well, anyway, for now, this is what we'll do. Okay, so we talked about these the other day, and so again, peel. Sometimes, a lot of people do it just with a knife. Here's a picture of a knife. You can't really, these are not distinct enough pictures to see exactly what they're doing. Sometimes there's a little tool that you use to peel that has kind of two blades on it that help you to get it out of the clean a little bit faster. Um, but to peel, again, is a regular verb. So I peel, you peel, he peels, she peels. It's the normal conjugation of a regular verb in present tense. So they peel, again, say he, she, it, that goes, add the S to it. Otherwise, it's, again, I peel, just the base verb to peel. I, we, so forth, the peel. So we're peeling potatoes. A lot of people peel their carrots, of course. In America, again, kind of like the potatoes, they select their carrots very carefully. And so it's not really that unusual for people to eat the carrot with the peel on. Probably more farmers and people that have gardens and stuff than those that buy it at the supermarket. But maybe if they have relatives or whatever in the farm or something, they'll eat the peel too. Because it does have a lot of vitamins into it, both with the carrot and with the potato. There's probably other vegetables that people peel as well, like beets, for example. Beets are very popular here. Beets are not eaten very much in America. I don't know why exactly, but it hasn't become real popular in America. So beets would be peeled probably here as you're making salads and stuff, but you can't buy a beet. You can buy maybe in a can. They might have beets in a can. I'm not sure about that. In the vegetable part of a grocery store, you won't find a beet. They're just not popular in America. So it's kind of interesting. There are different tastes that people have in different cultures. Kind of the same thing with bread. Here there are lots of different types of bread. In America, there aren't very many types of bread. They've kind of come down to a few different types, and it's more profitable not to make a lot of different types of bread. And so you'd have to go to a specialty store to buy some of the breads that you find here. They just don't make it in America anymore. They produce the popular ones and make their money off of those, and they don't make others. So if you go to Walmart, it's the biggest department store that has its own grocery department, and you might find different brands, but basically you have a light wheat bread and then a dark wheat bread and a white bread. Other than that, you actually have to go to a different department usually to get uncut bread. And that would be called French bread. It frequently comes with butter and garlic already on it for you just to put in the oven to warm up and eat with spaghetti or whatever. And so it's not even in the bread section. It would be someplace else if they have it at all. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, so again, to slice, again, they're slicing an apple there, it looks like, and a peach maybe. And to slice is also a regular verb. Again, just reviewing what we learned last week. And so, again, with present tense, I slice, we slice, they slice, you go to he, she, and it, and he slices, she slices, it slices, whatever. With the past tense, of course, we were talking about the sound. It doesn't, there's a few spelling, as we talked about, spelling changes. I usually, but it's again with a S sound, past tense would be I sliced. Remember, it has the T sound, the S and K and SH and CH and so forth. That we went over those rules before. Whether it's peel is the other category, so peeled doesn't have an ed sound, it doesn't have a T sound. I peeled the onion, whatever. And I guess that would be another vegetable that you would peel, and that Americans would always peel. And again, past tense, sliced for with the T sound. Great. So the last sound is the T. If you remember, then the T and the D are the ones that then proceed with the N sound. And so even though it has an E on it, the last sound is the T. And so grated is the past tense. Present tense again is I grate, you grate, we grate, she grates, he grates, it grates, so forth. So again, it's a regular verb with the different rules on pronunciation. So grated. So you have all three of these first three we're looking at. You have the three different sounds, right? So peeled. Yeah. So we have peeled, sliced with the T sound, and grated with the ED sound. Pour, again, present tense. I pour, you pour, we pour. She pours, he pours, it pours, so just regular conjugation of present tense. And in the past tense, this would be poured, just the D sound in the other category. Doesn't have the S, T, K, or it doesn't have the S and K or CH, SH sort of sounds on it that would lead you to pronounce a T sound, and not the T or D, which would allow you to do the N sound. So it's just the D, poured. I poured, and then everybody poured. I, we, he, she, and everybody poured. Going down, oops. I was going to move over to here to record that little piece. Anyway, so again, so great head has the ED sound, and poured is in the other category that just adds the D sound. Again, the grating is the picture, bad picture of the grater that you rub the cheese on. We'll cut it into little pieces, and a picture of them pouring something into a bowl. Who knows what? Not real obvious. I'm trying to, like I say, video record this so I can put it up on the website. Okay, again, the to whisk. So what's the final sound? Is the K sound. So how do we pronounce the ED at the end of that? The T, you get the T sound. K is one of those that pushes the ED into a T sound. So whisk in the past tense. We whisked, I whisked, you whisked. You have the T sound. With the present tense, again, all these are regular verbs. So again, I whisk, you whisk, they whisk, he whisks, she whisks, it whisks. It's, so the regular conjugation in the present tense. Again, whisking I'm not sure they're whisking there, but whisking is a very rapid stirring One of the later verbs that we talked about was to stir. Stir is typically a fairly slow stir, like you do to keep the soup from boiling or something. So you're just stirring it fairly slightly. Whereas whisk would be more common, as I mentioned last week, to the sort of action you do to whip cream. So you have your cream and sugar and stuff in it, whatever you're putting into it. Now you're going to stir it really fast. That's whisking. And I presume they have this for sale, the whisk. I think this instrument is called a whisk, I think so. Anyway, so it has lots, has lots of pieces of thick wire or whatever that, so when you are stirring it real fast, it will cause enough action to get the cream to whip, for example. Again, you could use it to stir with, and there's some things like cakes or something you might, stir it with that. I can think of, what do you call it? I won't be able to remember. There's an egg-based food that you fluff up. We call that. Maybe I can remember. Anyway, it takes a whisking also, and when it's cooked, it's very light and fluffy, and you create that with whisking, and you have a special pan for it and stuff. I forget what it's called. Again, if I were going to pantomime it for a game, for example, I'd be doing like this for whisking and stirring. I would do something like this, slow and fast. And so I might, next time we might do this as a game. Whereas slicing, would probably be like this, would be slicing, maybe put out a finger to show the knife or whatever. Slicing, the grating, the grating, yeah, kind of like that. I don't know, that's as close as I could pantomime it. And then what do you call it? I'm forgetting my words. Peeling, be kind of slow action, probably to peel if I were going to make a game out of it. To boil, again, you boil eggs, you can boil potatoes if you're going to make, for example, mashed potatoes or something. So a lot of things you can boil, but it reflects making the water or liquid that you're heating up on top of the stove come to a bubble, and whatever. And so that's coming to a boil at Fahrenheit, 212 degrees. In centigrade, is that 100 degrees? That boils? I forget. When you bring water to a boil, is that at 100 degrees in centigrade? I kind of think it is, but I don't know. Anyway, in Fahrenheit, that we use in America, it's 212 degrees before it comes to a boil. Anyway, so again, present tense, come on in. Present tense, I whisk, you whisk, we whisk, she whisks, he whisks, it whisks, whatever. I don't know how many it whisks, but I suppose that you can get a robot or something to whisk if you wanted to. And to boil, basically as a cook, you're just putting it on the stove and watching it, not having it boil over or whatever. So you're not much activity when you're boiling something. So if I were to make a pantomime out of it, what would that be? Kind of like this or something. I don't know, boiling. I'm not sure. Something like that. So we might make a game out of that. Would be boiling. Frying is cooking on top of the stove in a pan. We would call it a frying pan in America. So pan is kind of generic, so a pan might be more of a pan that you use for boiling. It would look more like this. Not as wide, but taller. So you'd have, I'm not sure this kind of pan has a special name. I never had a special name for it. But frying pan is, the wider and shorter, that we would call a frying pan to distinguish that. So let's, I'm going to move this over to record. Wrong button. Okay, so again, the conjugation is the same, but in the case of frying, you have the Y that's going to change spelling in some cases. So it's, I fry, you fry, we fry, she fries, he fries, it fries. That's where you change the Y to an I and add ES to it. So I don't know if that would be considered making it not a regular verb. I think it's still considered a regular verb because the sound is like a regular verb. You just have to learn how to change the spelling with the Y. There's rules with that. And then to roll like in Bishparmak or whatever. I make fun of my wife because there's Bishparmak is like a religion in Kazakhstan. You have company, you have to have Bishparmak. So we had Bishparmak 2 nights ago at home, but then we got invited to dinner with my stepson's wife's parents. It was his parents-in-law. And they took us to a Kazakh restaurant. Of course, we had to have Bishparmak again. So 2 nights in a row we had Bishparmak. That's the religion of Kazakhstan. You can't not have Bishparmak when you have a large group of people. So I don't know what happens if you get excommunicated from Kazakhstan. I don't know what happens if you don't do it. But I think it's...
Recently, I read news that a group of Kazakh people in Korea opened a new restaurant, a small restaurant. They start to cook bishpamak, and people who work there in Korea, they were so happy and come to eat.
Well, yeah, there's one in Malaysia. We found one in Malaysia when I was teaching there for 4 years, and we were very happy to have it there because my wife still cooked Bishparmak there, but it was, she didn't mind going to a restaurant for Bishparmak.
Son cindir.
Bishparmak yiyince mutluydu da.
Son cindir.
Anyway, it's just kind of a running joke between me and my wife because like I said, it is a religion. I don't know, again, I don't know what the penalty is when you break the religion, but it's part of your religion. I know that because nobody will break the rule. Nobody will break it. I don't know anybody that'll break the rule. You have company, you've got to have Bishparmak. Kind of strange to me. Okay, so anyway, a lot of rolling. When we're in America, my wife, we can't find a roller wide enough for the table, so she has to buy a broom and take the handle of the broom to do her rolling or something. Go to a department or a hardware store to get something a little thicker than that. So we have to, if she forgets her roller at our home in America, she has to go to a hardware store to find something thick enough to roll her dough when she's visiting family or something, and she's decided we've got to have Bishparmak. So again, she takes her religion with her. Anyway, rolling would be pretty easy if I'm going to make a game out of that. Okay, that's pretty easy. Frying is harder, but there's a sound with it. So maybe it's not just motion. If I'm going to indicate, do a game with it, it might be the sizzle. Whatever. whatever, the sizzle of the steak or whatever that you're cooking in a frying pan. I don't know. But again, on the past tense, we already talked about present tense. So it's past tense. That would be in the other category, so that'd just be to fry would be, past tense would be fried, just the D sound. And same with rolled, would just pronounce the D. So no T sound, no head sound, just the D sound on both of those because they fall into the other category. They don't, again, it's the TD that comes to the ed sound. There's no T or D sound there. And it's, the S and the CH and SH and K sounds that produce the T past tense. Mm-hmm. Okay, we already talked about poured, to pour. Mix, we talked about that last time, and that was a little tricky, again, if you recall, for those that were here. Because the X in mix, it kind of makes a little bit of a K sound. And so with present tense, it's okay. I mix, you mix, we mix, she mixes. So that is a little different, right? So with that, so that maybe makes it not a regular verb, but it's still pretty close to regular. So you add the ES to it. And so it's mixed, she mixes, he mixes, it mixes. So it's not just a S sound. You have an ES sound on that. So out of all these kitchen sort of verbs, I think that's the only one that actually changes sounds within the present tense. And then the spelling also, you have the E and S, not just. And so the past tense, because it has kind of a K sound to it, it's not a totally K sound, but it's close enough. I think they probably should have put the X in that list of letters that lead to the T sound, because it's not in the handout that I put on the website. It does not do that. So I mixed, he mixed, she mixed, they're all mixed. So it's a T sound. And you're adding an ED to the end of it, but you're not pronouncing E, and the D you're pronouncing as a T. So again, that's the pronunciation is with the T sound. We already went over rolled. We didn't hit stirred. This one's the only difference is this is one of those verbs that you're going to add an extra R to. Again, anybody remember the logical reason why we double the R and double some of these words, or the last letter of some of these? Because if you put an ED at the end of it, how would we naturally pronounce it in English? If you put stirred with S-T-I-R-E-D, how would we likely pronounce it in English? Steired. Because that E would be seen as a silent E, and we would be mispronouncing it. And so when you get in something like that, where it's again, it's the soft I, or the soft vowel, whatever is the thing that will cause you to put the extra consonant at the end, because the soft I, in this case, stir, would turn into I, a hard sound, steired, if we didn't put the extra R in there to remind us, no, this is still a soft, we're going to keep this a soft I. And so that's, in every, I think every case where we're going to put another consonant, it's in that situation where the vowel before that is soft. And if we put a E after just a single R or a single D or whatever the consonant is, the rule for making the I into a hard sound, a strong sound, would kick in and we would be doing stuttered. We'd be pronouncing it stuttered if it only had one R. So kind of convoluted, but that's the situation. So again, stirring, yeah, I guess we already talked about stirring, being more of a softer spinning of it. So if we're doing it, turn it into a game, that would be stirring, whereas whisking would be more like that. So we already kind of talked about that without showing it. Okay, let me see. Do we have anything else here I wanted to? Oh yeah, there are some more down here. Okay, I'm gonna move this over. Again, I'm recording this so I can put it on the. Okay. Okay. So we've got simmer and poach. So we talked about this last week. Well, first off, simmer is, again, trying to maintain it at a very soft boil, or maybe not quite boiling, but you first off bring it to a boil, then you turn down the heat and frequently put a lid on it to just keep it right on the edge of boiling. It might be, like say, maybe slightly boiling or almost boiling. It's in that range. And so when you simmer something, it's frequently soup or something like that, a stew. We would simmer. And how would I in a game make simmer? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't use simmer. I can't think of. We were talking about boiling already, but kind of like that. And simmering is a little bit like that, but very, very soft. Boiling, simmering, I don't know. Poaching, as I mentioned, I wanted to make sure I was using, that I was defining poaching properly. And so I looked it up today. And actually, the most common definition when you look it up on Google or whatever is to shoot animals out of season. Like when you're hunting, it's called poaching if you go shoot a deer and it's not a deer season. And so I don't know how, if you have different seasons for different animals here, I think you do. But in America, there's only like 1 month you can shoot deer. And 1 month you can shoot elk or whatever. And you have to get a license to shoot them. You have to go pay the government a little bit of money to shoot one of the animals. And so if you do it without a license and out of season, it's called poaching. So, and it's spelled the same as poaching an egg. The only example they had on the internet that I could find for cooking was an egg. And I don't see this as being an egg. I don't know what they're poaching here. I have no idea. That doesn't look like an egg to me. But they mentioned basically you're boiling an egg, but you're boiling it for no more than about 2 minutes. And so you have a soft center. And so that's the only example I could find on the internet for poaching as cooking was poaching an egg, which is cooking an egg with its shell still on for something around 2 minutes. And so the middle is still soft. So I have no idea what they're poaching there. They're not shooting deer, and that doesn't look like an egg. I don't know what that picture's of, and I definitely don't have any idea how to use poaching. Maybe as a change-up, poaching is going to be. I don't know. That's the other definition of poaching: is shooting something when you're not supposed to shoot it. Baking, of course, like a pie or a cake is inside the oven, so maybe that would be. But Okay, so going back to in conjugation, so again, in present tense, it is regular. So I simmer, you simmer, he simmers, she simmers. I guess you can use it with as a cook simmering something, but in another sense, it's what's in the pan that's simmering. I would normally be saying, you know, you know, I left the soup simmering on the stove. So it's the soup simmering, not the cook, but I guess you could say the cook is simmering the soup, but that's not very common. It's usually, you're talking about the soup or something simmering, not the person simmering it. But I think we would understand it, like that way. We would understand it if you said, the cook simmered the soup for 10 minutes. That would be understood, but it's not used a lot. Mostly the soup is simmered. So, okay. And the CH sound under poach, well, first off, past tense for simmer, it's just simmered. It's in that other category. It's not a T or a D to make an N sound. And it's not a C or a SH or S or whatever to make the T sound. But poach is CH. And so CH will, in past tense, will make it sound like what? T, right? So poached.
What is the same about roast and fry?
Uh,
What is the difference?
Well, roast is generally inside the oven, and the fry is on top of the oven, on top on the stove top.
Can I say fry if
So you would be putting it in a frying pan and putting it on top. So you would typically fry, not always, but most people, if you're cooking a hamburger, you know, you're doing chop, you're cooking a hamburger, it would usually be on top on a frying pan. So we go. But it can be in the oven.
so in the oven it's roast?
Excuse me?
I say roast when it's
The roast will be inside the oven.
inside the oven.
So, yeah, so that would be inside the oven. There are some special, as I mentioned last week, some special cooking tools. For example, in America, I like to use what's called a crock pot. And so it's kind of, it's made out of glass, thick glass. You put a glass lid over it, and it's timed so that it takes a longer time to cook something. So you could even put a roast in a crock pot and leave it for 5 hours and it won't burn. You do have a knob to change how fast you expect it to cook. But typically, if you put it in a crock pot, it's going to take several hours and you don't really have to worry too much
Crock pot is
about it burning.
a special dish. Crock pot.
It's a standalone pot. So again, you plug it in and you put we typically would put the roast and the potatoes and some carrots or whatever in it. And put the glass top on top of it to hold in the glass top is roasted also. And you turn it on and you can turn it on for 5 hours and have it low cook. And when you get home, it's gonna be really soft. And the roast is gonna fall apart, basically. It'll be really tender. So, if I could find a crock pot here, I would buy it, because I like slow cooking roast and stuff, and having that tender taste to it. But, so, yeah, bake goes into the oven. And that has a K sound, so baked has a T past tense also. So poached has a T sound, baked has a T sound again. And the T and D has the ed sound, so it'd be roasted and past tense roasted. With present tense, it'd be just normal present tense conjugation. I'm going to go ahead and, go ahead and include this in the video. So again, present tense, just the normal conjugation, and past tense, bake would be just adding the D sound, baked. No, excuse me, K sound, K and making it into a T sound, baked. And the T, as with the D, would make roast, add the ed past tense, roasted. Okay. The line is very thin here. Where is it? There we are. And the grill, I guess I should pull it over a little more. The grill, and again, the grill is actually the part on top. You can't see it real close there, but you can kind of see the lines here. So there's a gap between the pieces of metal. And the oil is going to go into the pan, so forth. And so you have a grill on a barbecue typically. Just do the same thing. You let the oil, move out of the hamburger or whatever. But this is a grill that would be used in the oven. The one looks like this. So it's a fairly thin pan, and with the actual grill on top of it, again, as it cooks, it'll drop the oil down into the pan in the oven. So again, with the T sound, it's ed, you get the ed past tense. Present tense is normal, regular conjugation. And with the grill, it goes to the other category, so you just have the D sound, grilled. So roasted and grilled on the past tense. And we didn't have too many there. I think the only one that we had to double the last consonant was to stir. And that doubled the R in order to keep it in styer. So stirred, you had the extra R to remind us this is still going to be a soft, the I is going to be still a soft vowel sound. Okay, any questions, any of that? So if we go back to this again, it'll probably be in game format. And again, I'm not sure about what to do with, well, roast would be the opening of the oven probably. The grill might be kind of like, there's not a lot of difference between grilling and frying as far as how it sounds.
We use this word grill only with chicken outside. Chicken grill.
For us, we also grill anything we want to grill. So hamburgers, in a barbecue, we could do fish, we could do hamburgers, whatever you want to do.
So, sorry, would you explain poach?
Okay, again, to poach, again, I looked on the internet just to make sure I wasn't crazy, because I could be. The only example I get is the one I gave last week, which is to poach is basically to boil an egg only about 2 minutes to leave the center soft. That is poaching. But the picture we had doesn't show an egg, and I could find no definition that would suggest that poaching is used in anything but an egg. Now, maybe you could come up with something, but again, I spent quite a bit of time on the internet trying to find another example.
This type of boiling, this is type of boiling.
Boiling? Yeah, it's just so with an egg, you're gonna leave the center
Short time.
soft. It's short time, 2 minutes in an egg or something like
I
that,
got you.
and that's it. So that's the only example I could find on the internet. It might be that you could poach something else, in order to keep the center soft. but I couldn't find an example of it, and certainly in American cooking, obviously, you know, the Google has decided it's just eggs. And that's the only example. So, yeah. Okay, so that's all we wanted to cover on that. I'm gonna go ahead and save this.